Where were you when Trey Yesavaged? I realize I'm not on the mic. We went live quickly. Let me go again. Where were you when Trey Yesavaged? Blue Jays are a win away from a World Series championship. They take game 5 in LA, and now they head back north of the border. 6-1 the final score. Jeff Hoffman just shut it down. Davis Schneider punched Blake Snell in the mouth on the first pitch of the night. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. delivered another punch in the mouth 2 pitches later. This was a Blue Jay masterclass, and the night belonged to Trey Yesavage. We're going to break all that down in a moment. Jack McMullen, Aram Leighton, Just Baseball Show, as always, brought to you by the fine folks at BetMGM. This was such a fun game to watch. We were talking about, Peter and I last night, the difference between the nauseating finish to game 3, where it was just so excruciating. The last, I'll say 8 innings of game 3. And then game 4, it felt like both sides were trying to fight off a hangover, and the Blue Jays fought off the hangover a little bit better than the Dodgers did. This was just a Blue Jay mashing. They got back to the Blue Jay ways. This was such a fun ball game to watch.
In the fact that Springer may not be done. He might be back next game. But the fact that they could do it without Springer, so now you give Springer 2 more days to get right, including, the one not playing today. They said he might come off the bench, didn't need to, because Yesavage was so good and because the offense did what it did. So now you get an extra day for Springer to get right and can maybe empty the tank in these final 2 games here. But I mean, this is one of the greatest, I think, all things considered, one of the greatest pitching performances we've ever seen in the World Series, because you have to take the context of guy who started the season in low A, guy who was drafted in 2024. And then you look through the prism of bunch of Hall of Famers in a lineup here. I think the fact that he goes 7, 12 strikeouts, just the 1 earned run, walks nobody. I think Game Score is going to love that. I don't know what the official game score is. I know it will love it, and I know you will love it.
Yeah, I'll see that in 3 days on Baseball Reference. Give it a little bit.
And this wasn't the first time the Dodgers saw him.
Yeah.
And it's now back-to-back series here where the first outing was okay or not very good, like what happened in the Mariners series. And then the second outing, he's somehow better. Savage should be a guy that the hitters get more comfortable against. Not that you ever get comfortable, but you'd think it would be advantage hitter to see outlier release point a second time. But this just shows you how much of a pitcher Yesavage is too, and how he is getting better and better and learning from these hitters. But I also think it says a lot about Alejandro Kirk in the game that he's calling and the intel that he's gathering game to game here with Yesavage against the same lineup the second time around. This was incredible between Yesavage and Kirk. And I think, this will go down in Blue Jays history, no matter what happens in this series. I think people will remember this. I don't think it'll be the Marcus Page thing, even if they lose.
Yeah. Can I have you real quick answer this question from Nick Lefevre on YouTube? How high is Trey Yesavage going to be on the next top 100? He's still eligible, right?
He is eligible. I was thinking about it during the game. I was like, how do I graduate this dude? Because it's so stupid. Now through the playoffs, he's thrown enough innings to presumably graduate, but he can't because they're not regular season innings. So I'm going to rank him, and people are going to say, "Oh, it's too low." What do you mean? He just won them the World Series, and it's, again, assuming they win. But just look what he did in the World Series, and I'm going to say, yeah, but we're projecting for 7 years here, so I don't know, 6 years here. I think he's a top 15 prospect in the update, but again, how is he not 3 if he's dominating in the World Series? But he's not going to be. It's really tough, but you don't want to let the recency get you too much. But I think he's without a doubt proven that he's a top 15 prospect in this game, and he's right there with the Nolan McLeans, the Bubba Chandlers, and then himself. But with this performance, though, it's like, how do you not overvalue it, given the stage, the context, and the dominance? Oh, do we lose Jack? Chat, you got me? Let's see if the chat still got me. Yeah, I assume they do. That's the difficult part, I think, with just trying to assess the value of a prospect when you're comparing apples to oranges here, right? Like, you've got a guy that you don't want to fully rewrite your entire perspective on the player after a handful of big league starts, but how do you not put a ton of stock into what a guy just did in the biggest stage and how he's just gotten better and better and better? So I think what's interesting with Yesavage and what makes him almost impossible to fully assess is that there's not a lot of comparisons. You'll see like a lot of the scouting reports and stuff. All right. It's like, okay, the fastball looks a little bit like this pitcher's fastball characteristic velocity wise, or the breaking ball looks a little bit like this player, or this pitcher's plot, the way that it lines up looks a little bit like this pitcher's. Yesavage is so unique that you almost didn't know how well it was going to play between the highest release point in Major League Baseball, between, a splitter that moves pretty different than some other splitters, and then this slider that's more of like a gyro-ish slider that just darts straight downwards at 90 miles per hour. So you don't really have anything moving glove side too much. It's mostly north-south, but there's enough horizontal separation between the splitter that still runs enough to the arm side and the slider that still doesn't really always cut to the glove side, but at times does enough. And it becomes this like enough of a horizontal separation paired with just the vertical dominance. Jack, I was getting into pitch shapes to try to buy you time to get your ass back in here.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm back now. I can give you the rundown of the game if you want that, but I love the pitch shape conversation. The one thing that I wanted to add before I decided to go to Mars for a minute there was this had all the makings of a start that works against Trey Yesavage. You mentioned second time the Dodgers see him. He throws on the road for the first time in the postseason. The Dodgers have every bell and whistle available at their disposal to prep for Trey Yesavage. I know you made the joke like the trajectory might not go that high for Trey Yesavage's release heist, but I bet it does. Like they have all of these high-tech machines to get ready for Trey Yesavage. This was going to be the most optimized the lineup has been against him over the course of this postseason, and they weren't optimized. They looked as bad as any lineup. I'll go as far as to say they looked as bad as the New York Yankees did in the ALDS when he went 5 2/3 no hit with 11 Ks.
I think you date back to, just the extra innings game and the struggles through there. And then, just the way that things have gone in general, it's been a pretty anemic offense. And I think that's where it's an interesting other aspect of it and angle of it is if you're struggling, and you're pressing as a hitter, Trey Yesavage may be one of the last pitchers I want to face, because even if you try to simplify things, you're going to get the four-seamer with the above average carry. Even from a high release height, it still gets plenty of carry. You're going to get a really disgusting splitter that looks like the fastball all the way. And then you're going to get this slider that's a velocity in between that looks like the fastball as well and breaks a little bit differently horizontally. So it's not really a pitcher that you can, I would say, hone in on a specific area, because he can run that fastball up and in. He was even running the splitter back in at the top of the zone and saying, I can leave it up. You're probably still not going to hit it that well. And he got away with a lot of them. And then you snap that slider off with still similar action to the splitter with a little bit more glove side. And the fact that he's going to spot that for a strike too, he can really work all four quadrants, even though nothing is really sweeping horizontally. And I think that's what makes him is just so difficult. And I do think the horizontal plays up, even though he's only getting 1 or 2 inches sometimes with the slider, and a couple inches the other way, sometimes a little bit more with the splitter, because it is so over the top that I think everything's looking like it's moving even more, east and west, when you already know he's dominating north and south. And when he can establish that heater, that's the one at bat that I really look at, is the fastball that runs up and in on Teoscar. That speeds him up. And then that's where he can get you either down or cutting to the glove side a little bit. And he can kind of get you any way he wants.
Am I back now?
Yes, you are back now.
Okay, I'm back now. All right. It said I was like totally fine. I did a Wi-Fi speed test. I'm at like 200 megabits per second. Like I'm good. So that was just bizarre what happened there. Where did you lose me on my last point? The Dodgers had every bell and whistle for Yesavage to have a ton of success, or for them to have a bunch of success against Yesavage.
Yeah, pretty much there. And that's where I picked up and just kind of focused on, the fact that I think if you're scuffling though as a lineup, that's not a guy I want to face, especially when he's locating the way that he is. Because once Yesavage is locating, that fastball just sets things up. And we kind of had a similar conversation with when Snell was absolutely on, but I think in a really unique way here. And I think it was just abundantly clear that Yesavage had a feel for everything and was commanding everything. And that's when then Alejandro Kirk can really get in his bag with the pitch calling. And I think that's where you had this tandem just working in sync. And I think that's the beautiful part of why you could see a better version of Yesavage maybe even later in the playoffs is you have the unique stuff, unique plot, and now Kirk learning how to leverage that, both with the way that he can steal strikes at the bottom and with the way that he can call a game and set pitches up and set these hitters up. And I think there's a lot of credit that needs to go to Kirk as well.
I'll give you the game rundown at this point, and at the end, I have a whole bunch of statistical nuggets on Trey Yesavage, and I want you to tell me your favorite nuggets that I throw you at the end of this conversation. But scoring opened on the very first pitch of the game when Davis freaking Schneider ambushed a Blake Snell fastball, shot it into the left field seats. 2 pitches later, another Snell fastball at 97 miles an hour, another Vladimir Guerrero Jr. homer. It was his 8th of the month of October. Of course, he is the Blue Jays now all-time franchise record holder for homers over the course of his career in the postseason. But Blake Snell apparently learned a lot after those back-to-back home runs. Kike Hernandez got the Dodgers on the board in the bottom of the 3rd inning with a solo shot of his own, but that was the only time Yesavage looked human. In terms of Blue Jay production, Ernie Clement got another across with a sac fly after Teoscar Hernandez gifted Dalton Varsho a triple by sliding on a ball down the right field line he had no play on with nobody out.
Well, also, why not dive? What's the point of sliding? The slide doesn't make you closer to the ball. It just makes it harder to body it up. Sliding isn't even a better effort at the ball. It's the same thing as reaching your glove out.
They acknowledge this on the broadcast. Teoscar Hernandez does enough to make Dodger fans pull their hair out, and then he wins you back with a homer in a big spot. But he is a brutal outfield defender. He was horrible this year. If you want to go take a peek in the metrics, I advise you go do that. That guy was one of the worst defensive outfielders in baseball. And for him to make that mistake in that moment was absolutely massive. And again, nobody out on a fly ball down the right field line. You do not slide and give a half-ditch effort to try and get that ball. And all of a sudden, Varsho is standing on third. At least he rounded third. He was thinking maybe inside the Parker. But I'll keep going here. We'll revisit that Teoscar conversation. In the 7th, Edgardo Enriquez misfired as the 3rd wild pitch of the inning to allow Addison Barger to score. Barger singled, wild pitch put him at second, wild pitch put him at third, and wild pitch brought him in to score. Bo Bichette shot a ball the other way to bring Andres Jimenez in. Then in the 8th, IKF singled in Clement to push it to 6-1. But again, the night belonged to Trey Yesavage. I'm going to throw you all these nuggets. You tell me your favorites. Before rolling a double play to finish his night, Yesavage punched out 12, didn't walk anyone in 7 innings of 3-hit, 1-run baseball. Yesavage now has the only 2 postseason starts in Blue Jays history with 10 or more punchouts. He became the first pitcher since El Duque, Orlando Hernandez, to strike out 12 in a World Series game. He became the youngest pitcher to punch out 10 in a World Series game. He now has the rookie record for strikeouts in a World Series game, breaking a record last met by Don Newcomb in 1949. That was 11. And if I heard correctly, his 24 swings and misses are the most in a World Series start since they began tracking swing and miss in 2008. And all in all, his 39 punchouts, the most for a rookie in a single postseason, that broke Michael Wacha's previous record from 2013. My other favorite thing, he just threw 7 innings for the first time since when?
7 innings for the first time as a pro. It would be since he played at East Carolina?
June 1st, 2024 against Wake Forest for the East Carolina Pirates. And guess who finished the ball game? ECU's finest, right? Jeff Hoffman?
Wait.
I think he was an ECU guy.
Wait, what?
Hoffman?
Jeff Hoffman?
I thought Hoffman was an East Carolina guy, too.
We're talking about Trey Yesavage. The last time Trey Yesavage punched out or won 7 innings?
Yeah, it was 2024 against East Carolina. And then I mentioned the guy that finished the game tonight is another East Carolina Pirate.
Oh, I missed that part. Yeah. I thought you were saying like with Jeff Hoffman. I was so confused for a second.
No.
Jeff Hoffman went to ECU? I'm still surprised.
ECU. Wow. Jeff Hoffman, 9th overall pick in 2014 out of ECU.
I forgot that he was a 9th overall pick. ECU's pumped out a lot of big league talent. That is the last time he's done that. And also, like, that's the amazing part of this, right? Is like they managed his innings a little bit carefully this year. You didn't really see Trey Yesavage eclipse 94 pitches. Really, you only saw him eclipse 90 pitches once this year. There was a clear focus on managing his workload. They wanted him I think throwing in warm weather. He didn't leave low A Dunedin until the middle of May. And then even then went to Vancouver for 5 starts. And then you saw him get to double A for 7 starts. But it seemed like there was this very careful approach, mostly having him go 4 or 5 innings, never really more than 75 pitches. Then as they realize, hey, this guy might be able to help us in the playoffs, they try to stretch him to 80 pitches. But even then, when he gets up to the big leagues, it was still mostly 75, 80 pitches. One game, they let him go 90 something. And obviously everything changes when you have a chance to go win the World Series. And that's exactly what's happened here. But what's very clear is that they are putting Trey Yesavage in positions that they didn't expect to put him in a position that Trey Yesavage never expected to be put in. So to be doing that and to be stretched out the way that he is and to still have that success, I think says a lot. Remember, a guy that didn't throw a lot of innings last year because he dealt with injury, he dealt with what was it, a lung issue? Was it a punctured lung? Right. Something along those lines. And missed some time and had to get his strength back and everything like that. So I think to be sprinting through the finish line the way that he has and not be fatigued and to just rise to the occasion. There's so many wrinkles that make this so impressive that it is remarkable to see. As of August 8th, he was in double A, but it's not just the double A part. It's the not really being stretched out more than 5 innings part 2. And here he is getting stronger and stronger as the games go deeper into the season and as the innings are deeper into the game.
Yeah, it was a collapsed lung before the American Conference tournament in July of 24. It was a collapsed lung that he suffered because of dry needling. It was that needling process on the.
How deep do the dry needles go?
I have no idea. It shouldn't puncture a lung. It shouldn't collapse a lung. That's for damn sure.
That's insane.
Just nuts. But Yesavage, it is amazing. And I know they want to keep revisiting the attendance for his pro debut against the Jupiter Hammerheads in Dunedin. But this is just, you never even concoct that this is a possibility. Well, Yesavage was asked this question going into the World Series, is this beyond your wildest dreams? And he's like, of course it was. It's very similar to the Will Klein quote we saw the other day, where he said, I couldn't even have dreamt this dream. That's kind of where Yesavage is at this point. He started his year in low A. You can't dream this dream.
In the first outing of the year, it was low A against Jupiter, 3 2/3 innings. He walked 6. I know it was the first start, but just to go from, because this will be his last start of the season. First start of the season is a low A outing where you walk 6 and 3 2/3. Last start of the season is a World Series outing in the big leagues on the road against the Dodgers, where it's 7 innings, no walks, and you strike out 12. And that's why this sport is unmatched, and there's nothing like it. There's just nothing like it.
Nothing close. I heard you talking about the shapes and how those kind of play into Yesavage's advantage. Have you – I was obviously on the moon for a little bit. Did you – kind of shed light on what your, I guess not favorite pitch tonight was, but what you felt like was his best offering? Because that slider was phenomenal for him.
It had to be the slider, right? And I think it's the way that he was kind of utilizing, where I think first time through, you saw him go a little bit heavier, with the fastball. And then later on, he had so much confidence in the slider that he could go slider splitter. And they have somewhat of a similar action, but the command of the slider almost makes him have the confidence of it like it's a fastball and spot it. And it's 90. So you have this bridge velocity between the 94, 95, 96 with the fastball and the 83 to 86 with the splitter, where you're 89, 90, sometimes 88. But I think that just slight horizontal difference and then the vertical drop that you get there, that pitch, I think today, especially, Trey Yesavage realized that the splitter and fastball elevate that slider. And that slider is a good pitch, but it plays even better now because it looks like both. It breaks like the splitter, but it looks like the fastball. And so if you're a hitter, we talk about the Roki Sasaki approach, where right now, you've got to kind of think fastball or splitter. You pick one, you try to bring him up. And, if he's not locating the fastball, get it a little bit easier. When he's locating both, obviously it works. I think with this aspect of it, you can't really eliminate one. And I think if he had more of a true sweeper, maybe you could pick it up out of the hand. all three of these pitches look exactly the same out of the hand. And I think even look exactly the same, especially the splitter and the slider, until very, very late. And then they have different velo gaps, a little bit of horizontal difference. And I just think it sets everything up perfectly. It's really like nothing we have in Major League Baseball. And that's why I think, people didn't really know how good he could be and how well this would play, because there's not a lot of precedent of this kind of pitch plot, this release height. And I think that's what, again, makes the game so cool.
When you factor in every element of Yesavage, there's nothing like him right now in Major League Baseball, but it's cool because I think about guys with 2.5 pitches, and the slider, it was clearly like his third best offering, but it was his best in the World Series. But coming into this, the book on Yesavage is fastball split. He'll mix in the slider to kind of keep you honest. And also, it's good and effective at points. It was the book, at least in terms of an arsenal, and the third pitch falling behind two very, very good ones, very similar to Christopher Sanchez in Philly, but it's also incredibly similar to Kevin Gausman. Gausman, for the overwhelming majority of his starts, is fastball split. And then he goes to this slider to kind of keep everybody honest and like solidify himself as a really good frontline starting pitcher. That's a great guy to learn from in Gausman and share a rotation with.
Oh, yeah.
And Yesavage, like, his slider is better than Gausman's slider at this point because it's unorthodox and he can land it. It's really good. But in terms of leaning fastball split and going to a slider occasionally, he can use Gausman to his advantage. I wouldn't be shocked if he's been doing it over the course of this month. And man, like, what a good resource to have for Trey Yesavage.
And I think that's a really important component to it too. And I do wonder how much Chris Bassett's helped him too, because Chris Bassett's spoken so highly of like this chess. I think even Joe Davis said something along the lines of just like a chess master at pitching. And I think we're seeing that here. But with the way that he uses like a sinker and kind of a running fastball, and then the bigger, slower curveball, but still somehow is really effective. But I think I had it in my pre-draft write-up. I'm trying to go dig it up, that I thought Yesavage's slider was one of the more underrated pitches in the draft, because when you looked at the college numbers against it, it was even worse than the numbers against his splitter. And I think that just is a wrinkle that was probably underestimated. I think the other aspect too is like we've seen effective wildness, and then we've seen just dotting at times. And both ways he's good. And I think he can get away with being effectively wild. And then when he's dotting, you have a guy that just can fully take over a game. And that's what we had from Trey Yesavage in this one. And I think that was one of the more impressive and enjoyable outings to watch that we've really seen in a long time, given the context.
Another good question from YouTube. Jacob McFarland asked, Aram, are you excited to see some World Series baseball this weekend? This officially means that you could possibly be seeing the Blue Jays secure a World Series victory in Game 6 on Friday.
I'm so pumped. I am really, really pumped. I've been to the Rogers Center. It was not for a game that I think was of this magnitude. So I'm really excited to see the environment like that. I mean, it just looks like an absolute madhouse there. So very pumped about that. I think we got a good group going out there, though. We will be just admittedly rooting for the Blue Jays. So just if you do see a picture of me in a Blue Jays shirt or hat, like, just know, unbiased journalist. But
are you gonna get to the point where you're buying merch for Toronto?
It depends on the vibe, and I feel like I'm gonna have to, though. I mean, like, I have to. No, like Joey Loperfido would theoretically have been part of the bachelor party if the Blue Jays didn't make it to the World Series. Literally, we audibled from Clemson for a football game against Duke to going to the game because of that. I feel like we have to, as a unit, all support the Blue Jays. No, I'd be an asshole if not.
I think support and buying merch are different things. I don't think you need to buy merch.
But I have to wear blue, no?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, attire.
Or do I just go Rob Lowe MLB hat?
Yeah, honestly, that's kind of where I lean.
Yeah.
Like, if you wore just baseball hat and then like a good black T-shirt or something, like, I think that's fine.
Golf clap when the Blue Jays score.
No, I mean, like, you can be active. I just don't think you need to drop $70 at the New Era team store.
I was gonna go check out a vintage shop and see if I could find like a '93.
Okay, well, like, that would be awesome. That would be really cool, and I would do that.
Okay,
but I would just say, like, gift shop getting the latest dry fit thing for $80.
No, I'm not doing that. So I can go work out in the gym. I'm just kidding. That wouldn't even be a good example. Don't work out, but I just rock like athletic Blue Jays wear like I'm on the team. Yeah, I don't think so.
Growing up, like 12-year-old me had an Oakland Athletics like Nike dry fit shirt, and I wore it all the time. And people would ask like, "Oh, what's your affiliation to the Oakland Athletics?" And I was like, "Nothing.
I
It's just a
overpaid
sick
for
dry
the
fit shirt."
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
my
overpaid
dad
for
spent
it.
$60 for me. Thanks, pops.
Yeah.
So,
But I'll tell you what, if Davis is in the starting lineup for some reason again, I might have to buy some Blue Jays merch because right now he's their Blake Snell specialist, which is insane given that he hit righties this year far better than he hit lefties. David Schneider had a 155 WRC plus against righties, and he's like only been deployed to go get Blake Snell, which is insane. And he went and got him. Like that swing was huge. I just think it's nuts that that's how he's only being utilized. But it is wild. I think from that perspective, like his ability to just, hey, go get him. You're batting leadoff in the World Series, even though you haven't really been playing. And we've been going to Ty France and pinch hit situations against left-handed pitching. I think it's a crazy spot to put him in. And it's a testament to Davis rising to the occasion, putting together good at bats. And I mean, that set the tone. Who knows what pitch Vladdy sees if you know, Davis doesn't do that as well. But I mean, seeing those guys go back to back off the jump, it's been clear to me that the things that we were giving the Dodgers credit for in terms of they've been there, done that, slow heart rate, like no matter what happens, they're going to be comfortable. If they get punched in the mouth, they're going to bounce back. That's all been the Blue Jays. It's almost been like the generally young, just playing loose, you know, not a care in the world type of feel where it's just another game that has allowed them to, I think, turn the page a little bit better than the Dodgers, who, when you have the weight of trying to repeat, you have the weight of it not disappointing, the expectations of it's World Series or bust. You're the favorites. You don't have an edge, right? You have to kind of create your own edge. This is a team that didn't celebrate that much when they, you know, on the field when they advanced to the World Series because they knew they were going to get there. And I think just having that edge may, you know, or not having that edge may be the difference there. But I think the biggest surprise to me is just how relaxed the Blue Jays have been. And like the conversations about how lax they were in the clubhouse after losing in 18 innings, like to just have the regulated heartbeat and be playing like it's just another game is just, I don't think anybody expected. And if anything, the Dodgers look like they're the ones pressing.
Yeah, 100%, man. And it almost seemed like, and you know, I was talking about it yesterday. It seemed like the Dodgers were almost too lackadaisical yesterday. Like they were kind of, you know, coasting on that 18-inning win. And then today they reverted. And here's the thing. You can say you learned a lot for every single question in your post-game interview until you leave a center cut heater on the first pitch of the game and until you leave a center cut heater to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. 2 pitches later. Yeah. And then, like, I just don't believe that you learned a lot from your last start, from your game one start. I'm going to get into that in a moment. By the way, Gustavo's right on YouTube. Why does this guy care about him buying merch? It's not his money. You can spend your money on whatever.
No, you're helping me.
Gustavo's right.
You've seen the credit card statements. You don't want me to run it up anymore.
Speaking of heartbeat, famously, Derek Jeter, who is associated with this World Series, said last year, you can't measure heartbeat. Yes, you can. It's called heart rate.
I've got something that helps me measure my heartbeat on right now, and so does George Springer. Where all the weirdos on the internet are like, "What's that on his wrist?" It's a whoop. Did
you see the Ohtani cheating one where they showed the PitchCom transmitter under his jersey, under his sleeve?
I love the World
Somebody
Series
circled that and was like, "What is this?"
Yeah, it just brings out some crazy people from the woodworks.
It's amazing.
I do want to give Snell credit though. He battled like
he did.
And you saw the desperation here from the Dodgers to not hand it over to the bullpen when you're sending Blake Snell out there for 116 pitches. That's what he did. And he battled. It was 5 earned, but you know, to just go 6 2/3 and to try to hang in there the way that he did, like you'd think that still 6 2/3, 5 earned, like the Dodgers would have a chance in a lot of those games, but not the way that the Dodgers have been right now. And we've seen it. Joe Davis alluded to this in the during the game in the broadcast. This isn't the first time this year that we've seen this like kind of low lull of this Dodgers offense. It's really good. You got Hall of Famers when it's clicking. They look unstoppable. We saw that in the Brewers series, but we've seen this offense lull more than it did last year. And I just think there's a little bit more volatility with these hitters. And I think a big part of that is just the struggles of Mookie Betts, who, went from MVP candidate to just kind of a league average hitter a lot of this year because I think of everything that happened to him early in the season.
Yes. No, 100%. He missed some time with an illness. He dropped, what, 15 pounds or
At
something?
least, I think more.
Yeah, and it was really tough for him to get back. That was after the Tokyo series, so that could have just had some residual effect over the course of the entire season. We will never know. I don't know if Mookie's been on record saying that it felt like it torpedoed his season. I know he mentioned that it was really hard to try and get back into the swing of things when you have to gear up for playing baseball every day after you get that sick on the heels of Tokyo. But I want to go back to that first inning. And you're right, like credit to Snell for gutting it out and throwing north of 110 pitches. I honestly don't fault him for the Davis homer because it's the first pitch of the game. Who's thinking that Davis Schneider's going to jump on one? But to your point, like if that guy is going to jump on one, it's like a freshman quarterback. Like you better complete a deep shot early. And that was completing a deep shot early. That was a 75-yard touchdown on the first play of the game. And that was awesome. The question is, how do you bounce back from that? And the fact that he pitched to Vladdy and 2 pitches later he got burned again. I said on this show last night, I said they have to be done throwing to Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yeah.
And what do they do?
It's got to be the Ohtani treatment right now.
Absolutely has to be. And what do they do? Second pitch to him, center cut heater that Vladdy kills to the pull side. Like, there was no way that was going to end well for Blake Snell.
Yeah.
Spam him with spin below the zone or just put 4 up and send him over to first base. Stop pitching to Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yeah. And it's funny, I think Davis went up there with the thought of, I'm going to literally catch them off guard by swinging at the first pitch because Davis Schneider swings at the first pitch about 27% of the time this year. It's just not something he does very often. And that's including the minor league sample. So yeah, even without it's about the same. I don't think that was the expectation. It was go get ahead of a guy that usually is going to let himself get deep into the count. So he ambushes, but yeah, then what do you do next? I imagine it was, okay, I want to turn the page. I don't want to put a runner on now and create this rally. But instead you made a mistake to a guy that is just not missing pitches right now. And is elevating at a scary rate. When he does that, he's one of the best hitters on the planet. And that's exactly what Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been. And this is one of the greatest postseason performances I think we've really ever seen. It's up there. It's Randy, like it's better. And on their way to potentially winning it all. So I think what Vladdy has done with Springer not being in that lineup as well, it's even more reason to not pitch to Vladdy. And I think that's part of the reason why it is so surprising that they continued to pitch to him. But he did walk 2 times after that. I think early in the game, you want to make them earn it a little bit more. And it is Bichette, Kirk, and Varsho at least behind. So you don't want to just gave up a run, now no outs and put another guy on. I get it. But that's what it's all about with Vladdy. That might be the one spot where the Dodgers can justify going after you. Don't miss it. And he didn't.
Guess what, man? They scored 1 run tonight. So that mistake 3 pitches into the game was effectively the one that cost him the game. I don't know how you define the term brace in soccer. If somebody in the YouTube or Twitter comments can tell me, I think that's technically the brace. Like in hindsight, that is the one that was the difference. So Vladimir Guerrero Jr., that was the brace 2 pitches in. So I like Gustavo. Thank you, man. He said, I didn't mean to be rude with the money thing. Cheering
he was
on
genuinely just confused. Like, why are you pocket watching your boy over here? So I appreciate it, Gustavo. Thank you. Funny. You're the man. And I love seeing baseball fans in Brazil.
Yes.
That's awesome. So
I also saw a note. This is going to be the first MLB season to start and finish outside the United States because the regular season opened in Tokyo and it'll finish in Toronto.
We're global.
Global game, baby. Couple other things from this one. It was meaningless at the end, and obviously Enriquez struggled, but it was funny to see Dave Roberts deviate from his typical cadence of relievers. He would have gone Trinan first, but then he watched that 18-inning game, and he was like, you know what, I got to kind of reshuffle the things. Trinan threw in a white flag type situation. He threw the top of the 9th. Him going Enriquez Banda said a lot to me. It seems like if the Dodgers were in a position to win in Toronto, we could see Edgardo Enriquez, we could see Sheehan, and then we could see Roki. I think he's going to lean on Enriquez a little bit more than we're expecting.
Well, that's what I said last episode. I'm like, I think you got to go to Enriquez in the spots that you may go to Trinan. What does Enriquez do? He has his worst outing. We've seen it a little bit. I mean, just spraying the ball. 15 pitches, 11 balls.
Yeah.
So I still think you got to go back to Enriquez. I still have more confidence in him being able to, I think take care of an inning there in a big spot than Treinen at this point. But gosh, if I'm Dave Roberts now, I'm even thinking myself even more into a hole. Then it's like, man, maybe I just go back to the vet, right? I go back to the guy that's been there, done that. If they're both struggling, I mean, 15 pitches, 11 balls is not encouraging by any stretch. So
no,
it's again a really tough spot for Dave Roberts, because I think right now, who do you trust? Sasaki, and I mean, who else in that bullpen right now are you going to with some confidence? Is it Jack Dreyer?
It's probably Dreyer.
I think Dreyer has earned that. He went 2 scoreless, in game 4 as well. It's Dreyer. It's Sasaki.
I think that's it.
Will Klein, I guess, now too.
Yeah,
when can you go back to Will Klein? He threw 72 pitches 2 days ago. You're going to have a day. I think Will Klein's going to be available next game. Does that matter? That was your mop-up guy. Are you that down bad bullpen-wise where the mop-up guy's one great performance might be enough to say, screw it, go back out there? I think they almost might be that down bad.
They could be. Another thing, do you think Louis Varland was pissed that he didn't pitch tonight?
I don't think so.
He could use a breather. Seranthony Dominguez was gross again. That guy, when he's dialed, is a very, very good reliever. And it seems like, Dominguez and Gregory Soto, 2 guys that, spent some time in Baltimore, bounced around a little bit, spent some time in Philly. I think Phillies fans, if any of those are tuned in right now, they know what I'm talking about when I say that those 2 guys, it's a roller coaster. And when it's at the top, it is so damn fun. For me, if I'm John Schneider, I feel good, obviously, with Varland whenever I need to turn to him. Fluharty whenever I need to get a lefty out. But then I look at the back of that bullpen, and I'm thinking, okay, I can keep Scherzer short. I can keep Gausman a little bit shorter than, the 7 that we may need him to go, because I feel good with not only Hoffman, but Dominguez at this point as well. Seranthony Dominguez has earned a leverage moment in game 6 and possibly game 7 if we get there.
I have a question. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves and silly before we even get to a game 6, but in a theoretic game 7, who would get the ball for the Blue Jays?
Is it Max?
It's probably Max.
Which is
the Max to like Bassett or Lauer. It's working.
Scherzer to Bassett would feed a lot of families.
A couple. But yeah, it's a really fun spot, I think, to get into. I think it's when you start to think about how game 6 and 7, could go here. But I think it's even more of a reason, and you look at it and say, okay, well, it's huge that they go back to Toronto, up a game, because it is not going to be easy to put this team away, because you got to get past a great starting pitcher no matter what, and you got to get past their best, right now, and Yamamoto in the next one, which we'll talk about. But again, even in game 7, you're going to be at a starting pitcher disadvantage. That hasn't mattered so far, but of course, you're always just starting a little bit behind in the race. They're clearly outrunning them by the time you get the race going, but you are starting a step or 2 behind when you've got that starting pitching, discrepancy here. But that said, you could have said that in this ball game, and just never was the case. But generally speaking, I think it is. It's just, this is why you play the games, man. Like, we all predicted Dodgers. I think everybody on earth, was pretty much predicting Dodgers. Anyone that didn't predict Dodgers just because they were hate watching, it's why I love the sport, and it's why you can't say that anything can be ruined by a team being too good. Again, even the Dodgers could still come back and win this thing. This has been an unbelievable series that I don't think anybody expected to go 7. So it's just another great reminder of why you can't play this game on paper, and why it is wonderfully unpredictable, especially in the playoffs.
It's so much fun. And now we go back to the madhouse that is the Rogers Center for game 6. That is on Friday night, Halloween night. Enjoy. That'll be so much fun to watch. And this is your opportunity for the Dodgers, at least, number 1, to stay alive, but number 2, get right now the best pitcher cooking on the hill in Yoshinobu Yamamoto. This feels like the place where the Dodgers can put their foot on the jugular. I say down a game, send it to game 7, but in such an emphatic way. I don't think Yamamoto's throwing 9 innings. I don't think it's happening for a third time in a row. but this guy is clearly as competitive and as successful a competitor as we have in baseball at this point on the planet. He was doing this in Japan, and now he's taking it over to Major League Baseball.
I'm not saying that he's not doing anything. So I'm like, I agree. I technically would take the under on 8 2/3 innings, but it's remarkable. And I think he knows that he's got to pretty much carry him to the 8th. Yeah. He's got to. And I think he's going to be on a mission to do that. We talked about it. And I think that this is the one unique aspect is Yamamoto, I don't think is a guy that you get much more comfortable against the more you see because of the different ways that he can get you out. And like the mastery that we saw in the last outing where it's pretty much any which way he wants to go get you, right? We saw him throw more splitters than any other pitch, but as it went later, you started to see more curveballs fired in there. The fastball was fired. Like it was 32% cutter, 22% curveball, 22% four-seamer, 15% cutter, 6% sinker, and 3% slider. You're getting an assortment of 6 different pitches that are all different velocities that he commands all of. They all combined for a 70% strike rate last time out. Like this next game, he could go more cutter. He could go more sinker. He could go more slider. He could locate his splitter at a different spot. He's so surgical that I don't even know if you can take much intel from the last outing and say, okay, we're going to make this adjustment against Yamamoto because he's going to give you a different look this time. And I think that's going to be the really fascinating chess match of this whole thing when they get their second look at him is if they do adjust to what they saw, how does Yamamoto, just outpace them and just make sure that he's also adjusting and giving them a look that they can't prepare for.
What do you need to see from Gausman in Game 6? Because obviously Yamamoto is going to put the Dodgers' best foot forward, and this is Yamamoto with his back against the wall, so he's going to be executing. And what we've learned is this guy has as much pitching clutch as anybody in baseball. Gausman, it's more predictable. Now, granted, the 2-3 pitches he throws are really damn good, but you can game plan for a guy like Gausman, and now you have a day to prep. You're not getting him on the back end of a back-to-back or 3 in a row. You have a day to sleep. You have a day to travel and get ready for Kevin Gausman. What do you need to see?
I think finding a little bit more confidence in the splitter and in the slider. I mean, we know the splitter is disgusting, but I think maybe throwing it earlier in counts. And I think he went to it a lot and kind of chased situations. But Gausman got away with a lot of hittable fastballs. He threw 60% of the pitches he threw last time out were hittable fastballs. It props him because he put the Dodgers on their heels. And here's the thing, though. A struggling offense, put them on their heels. Don't pitch around them and give them advantage counts and make them feel a little bit more comfortable in a leverage, count and advantage here. Go right after him. Say, okay, your timing's off. You're not swinging the bat well. I'm going to go fastball right on you. 95, 95, 95. He threw 49 fastballs last outing. 42 were strikes. Wow. I think more of that. An offense struggling this badly. Look, if they get hot and they take you deep, so be it. But I think you still got to attack the zone. But I think you got to have a little bit more consistency with the secondaries. Like it was a 86% strike rate on the fastball, and it was a 52% strike rate on the splitter and the slider. And so I think you're going to see those Dodgers hitters geared up for fastball and say, beat us with something else. We're not going to let you beat us with this fastball again. We're going to be on it. And I think that's why you want to have that aggression. You don't want to totally change, but he's going to need to have a little bit more confidence landing that splitter and maybe go into that slider a little bit more.
And you may get a bunch of ugly swings. If that's the plan of attack for the Dodgers, they could look really, really stupid on splitters. And you could have Ohtani, spinning in the batter's box, and you could have Freddie chasing. And guys that historically are disciplined could get very undisciplined if you have them biting on the splitter, but it really has to do with the splitter. So Gausman landing the secondaries, like the splitter in particular for me, if the slider's good, but the splitter isn't, that's kind of just like, blank slate Gausman. It's okay. It's whatever, because that slider is not an elite pitch, but that splitter is. That splitter has made him an all-star. That splitter got him a 9-figure contract. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. My last thing here is I appreciate Dave Roberts pulling the plug on Pages at this point. It needed to happen a lot sooner. Alex Call, for the Dodger fans tuned in right now, Call put together better ABs than we saw from Pages all offseason. He somehow golfed a shin-high pitch to the warning track in left center field. Like, they need to put their best foot forward here. They're done trying to find out if Pages can get right. Screw getting right for anybody. You need to win right now, and the Dodgers need to do that again. I appreciate the lineup change from Dave Roberts. Keep changing the lineup if you feel like you need to. This is where managers get paid, and this is why the manager is important.
And I understood his, if it ain't broke, don't fix it approach. And that's kind of what he said, right? It was, we were leading the series. I didn't want to, I didn't want to change what got us here and what got us even ahead, in this series. But at the same time, you knew that it was your pitching, the starting pitching, that was mostly carrying you. And, just because you're winning doesn't mean that you couldn't improve the lineup a little bit more. And I think it might be a little late to throw Call into the fold there, but I'm glad he did. And I think, and I'm still a big Pages fan. I think he's going to have a really good career. It's just, he's clearly doesn't have it right now. It's just better at bats at the bottom of the order with a little bit more speed. And I think a lineup right now that needs to manufacture runs, like Call needs to grab second base when Ohtani's up. And I think just little things like that I think you just give you a little bit more right now, even if he's not mashing. And I think that's what we saw from Call today. Just reaching base and again, putting some better swings on balls. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who your 9 hitter is when your 1, 2, 3, 4 hitters combine to be 1 for 15 with 3, 5, 7, 8 strikeouts.
Yeah. And that's a testament to Trey effing Yesavage. It's an indictment on the Dodgers, but it's a testament to Trey Yesavage, and he was the story. No show on Thursday previewing the Friday game. You're going to be at the Friday game, game 6. Who wins? What's the score?
I give up on trying to give predictions. I'm going to give one, but I give up on actually thinking I'm going to be right at all.
So we end every show during the World Series.
I know. I'm saying, I'm prefacing with I have no idea. Yeah. I think I've been wrong every single game of this World Series.
Did you see Passan was answering a question for somebody, and they asked him who he has winning the World Series, and he said, "I hate this."
Yeah,
and he went on like a minute-long rant saying how much he hates it, why he hates it, and then goes, "Dodgers in 6."
Yeah, he gave me that whole spiel too, and I actually get it. But it's because if I get it wrong, I'm an idiot and I'm an asshole. If I get it right, of course you should have got it right. That's your job, and it's a good point. But I think the Dodgers force a game 7 here. I think Yamamoto puts them on their back a little bit. I don't know if Gausman can match what he did last time out. It's going to be really tough to do, but who knows? Maybe it turns into a little bit of a slugfest, or the Dodgers offense is just so bad that, they can't make it happen. But I just think Ohtani's going to have a moment here. Maybe it really only takes one big swing. And that, if Yamamoto's on, that can be the difference. But I think game 7, I would still like the pendulum swinging back to Toronto, but we'd have to cross that bridge when we get there. I got to stick with it a little bit more here. I think every time I think, oh, no way they bounce back, the Blue Jays have bounced back. I think a lot of people are going to say, no way the Dodgers bounce back here with a day to rest. I know they have to travel, but still a day to kind of decompress and get themselves right. I think they bounce back when people think it's over.
4-1 Dodgers, Yamamoto legacy game. He goes 8 innings, not 9. So that's what I've got. That makes a lot of sense. It feels like this has been a pendulum swinging type of series, to your point, and this has been a punch, counterpunch, punch, counterpunch type of series. And we'll see the Dodgers counterpunch in game 6. And then it's game 7 on Saturday, and literally anything can happen in game 7. So excited for that. You got anything else for us, or is it bedtime?
It's just about bedtime. I'm just saying this has been one of the best World Series we've had in a little bit here.
Amazing.
Again, why you play the games. I want to know how it stacks up against some of the others historically, in terms of going into the series, what were like the BetMGM and the Vegas odds in terms of how heavy a favorite was going in. I probably should have had that dialed up, but I imagine they were some of the more heavy favorites the Dodgers were in a World Series in a little bit of time here. And yeah, it just shows you why you play the games. You never know fully what's going to happen.
I think after game 3, the Dodgers were minus 385. I think that's right. It was something crazy. Like the price was nuts on the Dodgers after they won that 18-inning game. And I mean, we declared the Blue Jays dead after that 18-inning game. It was like, okay, yeah, you know what? This is the Dodger World Series, and credit to the Blue Jays. And this is why you play the games, to your point. Every link you need is in the episode description. Again, no show tomorrow with the off day. Aram is going to be at the World Series on Friday. I'm going to be bouncing around. I'm actually headed back to Syracuse for Syracuse Chapel Bill on Friday night. So it'll be Peter and Fink taking you on Friday after Game 6. So we'll talk to you then. Thank you guys so much for joining us. What a crowd tonight.